The Mandalorian Season 2 is finally in full effect. New episodes are releasing weekly, and fans are happy to be back in a galaxy far, far away, with some very fun characters and storylines. But looking back at Season 1, while there was a whole lot of new things like characters, backstory for certain races, and beyond, there were also a lot of Easter eggs that were littered throughout the episodes that tied back into Star Wars history and beyond. Were you able to catch all of them? Allow us to show you the top 10 Mandalorian Easter eggs. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Number 10, Baby Yoda. Let's start off with one that is extremely obvious that everyone can't stop talking about, okay? When The Mandalorian was pitched to fans and its first trailer was shown, the intent was clear they were going to go to Wild West with Star Wars for the very first time. Or at least the first true time story-wise, as Star Wars has always kind of been a western in certain ways, and Mando was going to be our cowboy, only for us to be stunned at the end of the first episode with the reveal of Baby Yoda, a secret that somehow didn't leak on the internet beforehand. Anyway, the beauty of this Easter egg is its simplicity. We call the child Baby Yoda because we've only seen 2 of Yoda species in the entirety of the Star Wars saga. Yoda via the original trilogy and subsequent ones, and Yaddle from the prequels, who had a blank and you miss it cameo. We know nothing about their race, not their name, not why they all seem to be force sensitive, not where they're from, anything. This was intentional, as George Lucas himself wanted them to be the mystical old wizard that Luke met and you didn't know much about. The Mandalorian took that notion and expanded upon it, and bam, we have this series. And now everything we learn from this series is truly something new and fresh that adds to the Star Wars lore, which is more than we can say for the sequel trilogy. Moving on. Number 9, Life Day. The first episode of The Mandalorian set a lot of things in motion, including showing the cold and calculating style of Mando when it came to him getting his bounties. In the opening scenes, we see him getting one such bounty, and that bounty trying hard to figure out a way to get out of Mando's ship. And when he's monologuing, he mentions that he'll miss going with his family to Life Day. Now, Life Day, for those who know deep Star Wars lore, came from the incredibly divisive Star Wars Holiday Special, where they got the entire Star Wars cast, more or less, to come back for a mixture of animated and live-action scenes that focused on Chewbacca going back to his home of Kashyyyk to celebrate a Christmas-like holiday known as Life Day. Needless to say, the special wasn't good, and fans, and even the cast, mock it to this day. So for them to pull that out in the first episode was a pretty funny nod to the special, while also saying, this is going to be better than that, I promise. Number 8, Kamino. As noted, one of the biggest surprises of Season 1 of The Mandalorian was that of the child, but after delivering Baby Yoda to those who made the bounty, we weren't exactly told what they wanted to do with them. However, one big clue came from an Easter egg that eagle-eyed fans noticed. Dr. Pershing was one of the more caring and sympathetic characters who wanted to see the child be kept healthy, and when you look at his uniform, it seems that he was hired from the people of Kamino. Kamino was introduced during Attack of the Clones, and it was revealed that they were the ones who gave the Republic their army to fight the Trade Federation, all part of a long plot by Darth Sidious. This leaves many to think that the forces that might be like Moff Gideon are trying to clone the child so that they can have force-wielding soldiers that'll give them the edge in trying to retake the galaxy, as this is set after the fall of the Empire and Return of the Jedi. Number 7, Camtono. Easter eggs are fun, and they can also be funny because you can see how the showrunners and such are both referencing history and rewriting it to fit their needs at times, such as when Mando gets his reward for delivering the child to his employers early on. The Beskar is not the Easter egg, rather the container it is in is. It's called the Camtono, and it's got a very unique spot in Star Wars history. In Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back, there's an infamous moment where an extra evacuating Cloud City runs across the screen, clearly carrying an ice cream maker. But obviously, they can't call it that, so the Mandalorian team reworked its purpose and called it a Camtono. So many questions, but hey, we'll let it go. Number 6, the Rat and the Summoner. Let's go back to the very early parts of the Mandalorian pilot, after Mando got his bounty and is asking for a ship to get back to his ride. A very curious looking alien helps him get his ride. Pop quiz, have you seen that species before? Because if you have seen Star Wars A New Hope, you have. The alien is known as a Kubaz, and if you recall the Mos Eisley scenes in A New Hope, you'll recall that the same species was the one who ratted out Obi-Wan and Luke to the Empire because it noticed their droids. The other reason this is an Easter egg is that there are only 2 times you see this species in the history of Star Wars. So far. Number 5. Pit Droids. One of the biggest story beats of The Mandalorian is that Mando hates droids. He hates them because of what they did to his home and his family, and throughout the first season we see a variety of unique droids, but a very familiar one came when he went to Tatooine for a job, because the lady who worked on ships had a pod of pit droids with her. These pit droids made their debut in The Phantom Menace, where they were the ones who would work on said pod racers, and usually got into various hijinks, including fighting with Jar Jar Binks. Also, as the episode showed, they know how to play cards. Number 4. Stormtroopers. Now, while Stormtroopers may not seem like Easter eggs as they're seen in some form in basically every trilogy and cartoon, with The Mandalorian, it's a bit different, because the Stormtroopers we see most times are the ones who are hired by people like the Client or under the eye of Moff Gideon. They symbolize the fall of the Empire, and we even see shots of their helmets lying on the ground to show that people revolted against them after the second Death Star was destroyed along with the Empire. Hey, it's a hard life being a trooper. Number 3. The voice of the Chosen One. A not so big Easter egg is that one of the head guys on The Mandalorian was Dave Filoni, who helped create and perfect the Clone Wars cartoon. He even directed an episode in The Gunslinger and is doing season 2 episodes as well. Anyway, in the episode The Prisoner, he decided to have a little fun and call in an old friend for a role. The New Republic soldier who is watching over the prison isn't given a name, but he's played by Matt Lanter. Who is that? He was the guy who voiced Anakin Skywalker in the Clone Wars cartoon. The Force is strong with this one. Number 2. Cara Dune's home. Cara Dune, played by former MMA fighter Gina Carano, was one of the breakout stars of The Mandalorian Season 1, but one of the things that made her such a great character was her backstory that came out in the season finale, when it was revealed that she was from Alderaan. Alderaan, of course, was the home planet of Princess Leia, and the Empire blew up the planet to show the power of the Death Star. More than enough motivation for Cara Dune to go and fight the Empire, don't you think? Number 1. The Dark Saber. We started off with a thing that shocked us in the pilot episode, and now we're going to talk about the shocker from the season finale, the Dark Saber. The Dark Saber is a very important part of Star Wars lore that came to life via the other side of the Star Wars universe, the cartoons, specifically the Clone Wars cartoon, and then its sequel in Star Wars Rebels. As noted, the Dark Saber wasn't built as an anti-lightsaber, rather it was made by the only Mandalorian Jedi in history, though how this Jedi made the saber is unknown. As was custom, after the Jedi died, the Dark Saber was buried with him, but the Mandalorians liberated it and passed it down from generation to generation as a sign of leadership and strength, which tied into multiple storylines in both Clone Wars and Rebels, which makes it all the more curious that it somehow ended up in the hands of Moff Gideon, because that would mean he got it off the Mandalorians themselves. So what it means for Season 2 is still unclear, but it's something that got every major Star Wars fan excited. So what do you think? What do you think of these Mandalorian Easter eggs from the first season? Which ones did you catch and understand the full meaning of? Which ones did you miss and you're going to rewatch Season 1 so you can see them in their revealing moments? Are you already watching Season 2 of the series? What are your thoughts on it so far? Let us know in the comments below, be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the channel.